I got kicked out of medical school. This is not clickbait. You read that right. I actually did get kicked out of medical school, and here are the reasons why. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Nisha, and for today's video, you read the title right. I did get dismissed from medical school. So for those of you that had followed my medical school journey for the past year, when I was on the island filming vlogs, I got a lot of questions in DMs asking why I came back home mid-semester. Was I starting clinical rotations? Did I graduate? Had I started residency? Like, what was going on? Because all of a sudden you guys saw me on the island, then I came back, and now a lot of these concerns and questions have been addressed publicly, commenting on my videos on my Instagram and stuff. So instead of responding to every one of your comments individually and constantly repeating myself, I thought I would just make this video just answering all your questions and concerns and just addressing why I came back home mid-semester and why I got dismissed from medical school. It definitely took me a while to find the courage to film this video for you guys because it was definitely a lot to process, and you definitely don't see a lot of videos like this out in the public about people talking about why they got kicked out of medical school or like any school whatsoever. And I just needed time to like process what had happened to me, and I just needed to take that on my own time. And when I felt ready, I definitely wanted to film this video for you guys talking about my experience that I had. So the reason why I don't sound too sad about this whole video right now is because I had gotten dismissed back at the end of August, early September. And since I came back around October 18th of 2022. I definitely had plenty of time to come to terms with what has happened, acknowledge that this has happened to me, and it definitely happened for a reason as well. And I'm just trying to move on with my life. So I definitely had a lot of time to kind of process all this information. And also apparently being dismissed is a lot more common than you think. Before going to the Medical University of the Americas, that is the medical school that I had went to, I never knew that this could happen to me, but I definitely had heard it happening to a lot of other people, whether it was actually from MUA or from like any other medical school. I just didn't realize that this would actually happen to me. And you just never think that it actually would happen to you until it actually does, you know? Like, it just takes you by a huge surprise. Now you guys must have so many questions asking, why did I get kicked out? Are you still going to become a doctor? Are you going to be attending any other medical school? So I'm going to be answering all these questions for you guys in this video, but before I get to answering those questions, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below, turn on your post notifications, give this video a thumbs up, and let's get on with the video. So before I even begin telling you guys what had happened to me, I just want to put a huge disclaimer out there. This video is personally my perspective and what had happened to me, and I'm telling you guys what had happened in my own words. This is not a testimony to the school I went to. This is not me slandering, defamating the school, or blaming the school in any way whatsoever. I'm just strongly telling you guys what had strictly happened to me in my own words, my own perspective, because I had gotten a lot of questions from you guys, and I definitely want to get this out there so that way I don't have questions about this next year. I am filming this towards the end of the year just because I do want to end this chapter of my life, just get it out of the way and start fresh and new again in 2023. This is not me attacking MUA, and I'm not going to be mentioning any names or personal information whatsoever that can be related to anybody. I'm just going to be telling you guys why I got dismissed in my own words, so you guys are all able to understand what had happened, why it had happened, and if you guys are planning to attend a school like mine or similar to mine, then you guys will be able to take this information and make sure that this does not happen to you. So how I ended up getting dismissed is, I'm going to try and summarize it in this video. So a lot of students actually do get dismissed, but a lot of them don't really talk about it because it truly is such a heartbreaking, heart-wrenching moment when you find out that all the energy, all the time, all the money you put into something definitely comes crashing down on you. It's a lot more common than you think, unfortunately, but this is how my story started. So as you guys know, from this year of 2022, I had moved to the island. I virtually moved there back in December of 2021, and I had stayed on the island for the entire year of 2022. So when I originally went to the island, I was in Med 3, and then in the summer semester, which was the semester of May to August, I was in Med 4. So this meant I only had one semester left, so I only had Med 5 left to complete, and then I was able to take my NBME shells, my comm, pass that, and then I would take my step and then move on to my clinical rotations. But however, that did not happen. So I'm going to trace back to September of 2021 last year when technically I was in Med 3. So I originally had started back in MUA back in September of 2020. So this was during the pandemic. So I had started at MUA and I was in the GMP program, which is the Gateway Medical Program. And this is for students who are missing some prerequisites, because here in Canada, it is not mandatory for medical schools in Canada for students to have organic chemistry or physics. So I didn't take those courses with me when I did my undergrad back at the University of Toronto. But these schools in the States and the Caribbean, however, did require it. So MUA had this program where I was able to go and take this 1 semester course and just learn some of the basics that we already had learned previously back in our undergrad. Then we would be placed in Med 1 in the following semester. So I did that. So September of 2020, I did the GMP program, passed it, then went on to Med 1 in January of 2021. I did my Med 1, Med 2, and Med 3 all online. However, in Med 3, I did struggle because in Med 3, they do cover neurology and neuroscience. They also do systems and disease, and they also do behavioral studies as well. And for me, neuroscience and systems and disease was a lot to cover just because I hadn't previously learned about that, and it was just so much information in 1 semester. Just like my undergrad, I thought, okay, let me withdraw from some of these courses so that way I can just put my focus on my behavioral studies course, because I already knew a lot of that because one of my majors in undergrad was psychology. So I thought, okay, let me withdraw from neuroscience and systems and disease and retake that back next semester, so that way I'm only able to focus on clinical skills and behavioral sciences. So I spoke to one of the professors here who was in charge of helping students kind of know their direction around all these courses and such. So I contacted him. I was talking to him on the phone, and for privacy reasons, I'm not going to mention any professors' names or anything whatsoever, but I spoke to him on the phone and he was telling me, yes, you could withdraw from it. There is a form that you do have to fill out. So I filled out the form and I submitted it to the registrar. However, when I completed the form and it was approved by the registrar, and just for clarification, the school is located in Navis, but the head office is actually located in Massachusetts in the United States. So the registrar is located in the States while the professors and such are on the island. The registrar in the States approved my withdrawal from the 2 courses. However, what the professor had failed to tell me was that by withdrawing from those 2 courses, I would be put on probation. And when you're put on probation, you're put on probation for 2 semesters. And once you pass those 2 semesters of probation, then you're off. So he didn't tell me or inform me that I would be put on probation for 2 semesters just from withdrawing from these 2 courses. So ergo, I was put on probation, and I found out because I received a letter from the registrar saying that I was put on probation, and I was kind of shocked. So then I contacted the professor again. He's like, yeah, according to the student handbook, you would be put on probation. And I was just like, I was never told this information. And he said how it was my responsibility to know the student handbook. I had no other choice because I already had gotten approved. I wasn't able to take it back. So yeah, I was put on probation for 2 semesters. So I completed my clinical skills, I completed my behavioral studies course, and I did really well in those. And then I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna go to the island. So I did for the in-person experience. So that's when I went to the island at the end of December of 2021. And then I did Med 3 and Med 4 on the island. So in Med 3, I completed my neurology and systems and disease course. I did really well. So once I completed Med 3, I did Med 4 at May to August of 2022. And because I did really well, I was able to become a neurology and neuroscience TA. I was also actively involved in a lot of clubs and activities in school. I was vice president of Med 4 of my class. I was also part of the Student Government Association as well. I was also still filming vlogs too, and I was also working with the marketing team at MUA because they noticed my vlogs and they ended up posting it on their website and their social media platforms as well. So I was doing pretty good for myself because I was making a ton of contributions and such. So when Med 4 came in, Med 4 was a lot. Like literally they threw everything at you in that semester because you learn all the systems. You learn cardiovascular, you learn respiratory, you learn the kidney system, you learn literally every single system that there is. You learn the physiology, pathology, pharmacology of every single one of them. And it is a lot, guys. It is a lot to process. And especially when it came down to the block exams, there was just so much to memorize, and it was just so much. I honestly felt like Med 4 definitely needed to be reconstructed differently because MUA went by a subject-based curriculum, whereas other schools in the Caribbean, they are doing it by system-based. MUA was still at the subject-based, and for me, I think I found that a little bit trickier because all the systems were just in 1 semester. You could definitely say Med 4, that was the semester I definitely struggled a lot in my entire medical school journey. Like every other semester, it was pretty good for me. This semester was definitely a struggle because the classes were every single day from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and it was a lot. And by the time you got home, keep in mind, I was living by myself on an island. So I had to do like grocery grocery shopping, making sure that my apartment was good, making sure I had food and everything. And it was just a lot, and you had to review and study and know everything that you needed to do for these courses. Just trying to have like that school life balance, it was so tricky. And just trying to know all this information, it was a lot. Long story short, what had happened was towards the end of the semester, I ended up failing my final exam by a lot. It was a really bad exam, and like that was one of my first ever exams that I had failed in my entire medical school journey. Like I had never failed a block exam or a final exam in my entire medical school journey up until this semester, and it was just brutal. I was trying everything to improve. I even had seen the guidance counselor as well, and it was just not helpful. He had told me ways that I was able to improve and such, but I was so focused on trying to improve my grades and everything and knowing that I would pass that he didn't make me aware of the consequences to seeing what would happen if I hadn't passed, if my grades hadn't improved, and all that kind of stuff. And that would have been nice to know, but all that information was left out. So the guidance counselor did not explain to me all the options that I had and what would potentially have happened to me if the stuff that happened did. So long story short, I failed my SD3 exams, which was the Systems and Disease 3 exam. I failed by a lot, and it dropped my mark tremendously, which led to me not passing the course by a few marks, and it honestly sucked. And this was honestly my first ever class that I had ever failed at MUA, so it was a huge shock to me. So when I had taken the SD3 exams, the way our exams work is it's all based on computers. So we take them on this computer system called Exemplify, and we take them in the computer lab as well, and the professors and stuff all watch us. So that's typically how we would be taking our exams. However, this SD3 exam was not taken on the computer. It was actually written. So we had like a little booklet where we had the questions on there, and then we had a Scantron where we had to mark up our questions just like in high school and undergrad. Questions were so long on the paper. Like honestly, I felt like having that exam wasn't fair because we were also used to having it on the computer, seeing our options, automatically crossing out the options that we didn't need, clicking the answer, flagging it if we didn't know so we can automatically go back to it, but we weren't able to do that. So we had to make sure we read the questions right, marked our answer, made sure the answer was correct on the Scantron as well. And honestly, I felt like there wasn't even enough time to flag questions and come back to it, because who would be able to flip through like 30-50 pages worth of questions and have the time to go back, review it, and put it correctly on the Scantron? Like it just didn't work out well. And I felt like having a paper-based exam required a lot more time. I believe we had 2.5 to 3 hours to write that exam. I felt like it wasn't enough time. I felt like if they have given us that extra 15 to 20 minutes, that would have benefited us so well, because again, we were not used to writing this out on paper or on Scantron. So that definitely had an effect on how I personally had taken the exam. I personally felt like I wasn't given enough time, and I just felt like it just wasn't fair in that aspect. So after that exam happened, I honestly did not feel good about it. Like I just felt so horrible. But after that exam ended, I went home, I came back to Canada, and then during my time here, that's when I got an email from the registrar saying that I was dismissed from the school. It was heart-wrenching. Like literally, it was heart-wrenching. I'm gonna insert my dismissal letter here so you guys are able to see what it looks like. It said I got dismissed for academic reasons. There are a lot of reasons why students get dismissed. One of the reasons was I had failed a course and I was on probation. So this is my second semester being on probation. I was literally in shock. But on the letter, it did say I had a chance to appeal it to the promotions committee, so I definitely took that opportunity to appeal it. So I did that. I emailed the registrar that I wanted to appeal my dismissal to the promotions committee after the break that I had back in Canada. After the end of Med 4, that's when I had came back to the island. That's when I had attended the appeal meeting to the promotions committee in person. So that's when I was able to speak to them. I spoke to them at the beginning of September and told them my entire story. And the promotions committee, come to find out, they are made up of professors who teach us at MUA. These professors, there were 6 of them. In my opinion, they're just easily persuaded. And there was one admin person from the US head office there as well in that meeting, and they were on Zoom. So during this appeal meeting, we basically had the opportunity to write a letter and explain to them what had happened to us, why our grades slipped and such, for whatever reasons we had gotten dismissed, ways that we could have improved, and I also spoke about all the contributions that I did to the school. During that time, I was involved in the Student Government Association. I was vice president of my Med 4 class. I was the TA for neurology and neuroscience, and I worked with the marketing team at MUA, where they had used my videos to post them on their social media, and they had used my picture to post it on their website as well. And I also took time out of my day to speak to a lot of prospective students about my time at MUA and answering questions during Zoom webinars as well. So I definitely had contributed a lot to the school. So during that meeting, I did that. They referred to my letter. Some of the professors had asked me questions, and during that entire meeting, all I can remember was how shaky I was and how scared I was, and my voice just kept cracking because I was so scared, because this is my career, this is my future at Line 2, and I literally tried not to cry so much. After that meeting was done, I was about to go home, eat some breakfast because this meeting was early in the morning. After I had completed the appeal meeting, I got an email from the admin at the school. So keep in mind, there's two administrations, one in the Massachusetts in the state, which is kind of like the head office and the registrar, and there's the admin on campus that kind of works with the students and such. So one person from the on-campus admin emailed me right after my meeting and asked me if I was able to do a last-minute school tour for some of the med ones, because a lot of them knew me from my videos. So after he had asked me during the email, I emailed him back saying yes, I would definitely do that. So I went home, grabbed a quick snack, and I did the school tour. And after seeing all the students, the med 1 class was actually a lot more smaller. I think it was about like 30-35 students, but a lot of them had recognized me from the video, so they actually found the videos and vlogs that I did at MUA during my time there was actually really helpful. That's kind of the purpose what I wanted to do for my videos, to find it really helpful, because I know going to an international medical school with no idea what to expect, and making those videos, I'm so happy that a lot of the students found it helpful. So with this last minute tour, I toured them around the school. I basically showed them everything, but a lot of them already knew most of the stuff because I done the videos. Keep in mind, I am not getting any extra credit. I'm not getting paid to do this school tour, so doing this tour was definitely on my own time. So after I did the tour was about like maybe half an hour to 45 minutes. I came back home to my apartment. I kind of just cleaned up a little bit, rested. Then towards the end of the day, around 4 p.m., I had gotten an email from the registrar, and this was my appeal to the promotions committee. So when I read that email, and I still remember the exact moment that it happened. So I read the email, and it literally said, I was like at my desk, like shaking, reading it. It literally said that they were going to uphold my dismissal and they weren't going to accept my appeal. And I remember standing there, and I was like clenching my head, and I was like ripping my hair, and I was just like, what? I was just like, how does this make sense? Like how? Like I was at a loss for words. Like literally, I was about to pass out. My whole body just went numb. I remember dropping to the floor. Like I literally fell to the floor. I dropped, and I was just like, what do I do? I was so in shock about this. I was just like, this is my career. My entire career is over. All the time, money, energy spent, it was gone. I literally didn't know what to do. I spent that entire night crying. Like it was a lot. And plus I was living by myself too, and I was away from all my family and friends, and I honestly couldn't tell anybody about this at the time because I was still processing. Like I was in shock because I didn't think they were going to dismiss me because of all the stuff I was on. I was a well-rounded student. I had really good grades, and this was the first ever course I had actually failed at the school. I just couldn't make sense of it. Like honestly, I couldn't make sense of it. And I still remember that feeling that I had, and I honestly try not to remember it, but for this video, like I just remember the feeling of like your entire soul and life just being sucked out of you, and everything that you'd worked for was gone. Like keep in mind, like I'm Canadian, so everything, all the prices, all the tuition and stuff, everything on the island is like in US dollars, so the conversion for us is a lot more expensive. So after finishing 2 years of medical school, I was $150,000 in debt with no medical degree that I was able to repay back. And just keep in mind, I don't come from a wealthy family. Like my family is not wealthy or rich by any means whatsoever. My parents are immigrants. They had immigrated to Canada about 25 years ago, so they definitely had to build from the ground up with barely any money a life here that we had. So we didn't have $150,000 sitting in my bank account that I was able to pay back the bank, and I was just like freaking out because I'm like, what do? I literally spent 2 years, my time, energy, and money for nothing, like for nothing. And just thinking about this, I only had 1 semester left. Like I could have easily had retaken the SD3 course all over again. I already knew what to expect. I knew what to study. I knew how to properly prepare myself for this course. I wasn't able to repeat it. I only had 1 semester left. All I had was to complete semester 5, the shelves, comp, and then do my clinical rotations. And it was just sad to think about like not getting a second chance after everything I've done and all the contributions I made for the school, and even them like using my videos and such. And I also just want to clarify that the school did not ask me to film any of these videos. I had filmed these videos on my own time and my own personal use, and these video ideas were my own ideas. So the school administration did not ask me to film anything for them. These were my own ideas, and I definitely took the time and liberty to film these for you guys. They had just used my content to use them on their social media platforms. So I just wanted to clarify that in case you guys were kind of confused, but yeah. So after finding out they did not accept my appeal, I had the opportunity to appeal it to the dean on campus. So I definitely did that. I wrote the email to the registrar and I tried to appeal it to the dean. I also wrote the dean an email as well asking if I was able to meet you in person, just talking about my situation as well, because this was literally my career on the line. Like I was 25 years old. I didn't really have time to waste. Like I just needed for them to hear me out and just know that I do deserve to have a spot at the school. However, I did not receive a reply from the dean as well. So the very next day, I went to the administration building on campus and I asked if the dean was available, if I was able to speak to him. So when I went to the admin building, the person I spoke to, he said he'll go and ask him. He was just finishing up from a meeting, so he went and asked. He came back to me and he said the dean does not want to see me. Like, he literally refused to see me. Like, I was still so in shock. I'm like, how does the dean not want to see a student who has some concerns? Like, to me, I was just in shock. I was just like, what? Like, what do I do now? Later that day, after having no luck whatsoever trying to speak to the dean in person, I got an email back from the registrar saying that the dean did not accept my appeal and he was going to uphold my dismissal. And what's ironic about this situation was that there was like a bunch of students who had gotten dismissed. I think like maybe about like 12 to 16 students. With all the people who had gotten dismissed, we had gotten that email at the same time. So that email was sent at the same time to numerous students. And to me, that was kind of fishy to see that the email was sent to numerous students at the exact same time. So this kind of led me to believe, like, did the dean actually even read our appeal letters or even read our emails to begin with? After reading that email again, it was like a formal letter explaining that they weren't going to accept our appeal, they were going to uphold our dismissal and such. We had one more opportunity to appeal it to the president. So this was the chief academic officer at MUA. So this was like the highest person that we were actually able to speak to. However, the only way that I was able to talk to the president of MUA was if there was a mishandling in the procedures within my case by the university. So I still sent in a request saying I still want to appeal it because I had to try anything to keep myself into this school because I wasn't going to let 2 years go down the drain for nothing. I sent that email in telling him, yes, I want to appeal to the president. However, he sent an email a few days later saying that he didn't find any misconduct or any issues with the procedures with the university handling this case. I was finally officially dismissed from the school. On the header of that email, it literally said final notice. That was like my final appeal letter saying I was officially dismissed from the school, and it honestly sucked. Like, that was literally the end of the road. So that was personally my story on how I ended up getting dismissed from the school. This was just such a long, unfortunate event that took days and days. Like, my anxiety was just up to here. Like, it was just so bad. So all in all, there were numerous ways to get dismissed from medical school, and they all outlined them in the student handbook. I strongly stress to students who are attending medical schools in general, whether it's in the States, in Canada, internationally, whatsoever, to always read the student handbook first. Like, literally read it to a T. Have it memorized, because literally everything that happens within the school admin wise, they stick to that student handbook, so you can literally fight your case with that student handbook. And with the handbook, you always want to know what kind of situation you're getting yourself into and ways to prevent yourself from getting into that situation, because in any situation like this, you're the only person that you can count on yourself with, and you're the only person who's able to take responsibility for things that happen in whatever situation you may find yourself in. Personally and honestly, I wouldn't rely on anyone in the school for information other than printed copies. Like, as long as it's printed in the student handbook, I would just rely on that. I wouldn't rely on something that someone had told you, because again, it could be incorrect, it can just be word of mouth, and that doesn't help your case in any way whatsoever. For me, in my situation in this case, I had gotten dismissed because I had withdrew from those 2 courses back in Med 3 of September of 2021, and then I was put on probation for 2 semesters, the January and the May semester of 2022. And in the May semester of 2022, which is my Med 4 semester, in my second and last semester being put on probation, I did not pass 1 class for SD3. Because I didn't pass that, that was my reason for being dismissed, because of 1 course that I had failed by a few percent. Like, it just honestly sucked. Honestly, in this case, there could have been so many things that could have been handled differently in so many ways to prevent or even solve this, such as in my appeal situation where I tried to fight to stay into the school, and honestly, I felt like that was just rendered so useless, because the point of that meeting is to explain reasons why you deserve to stay in the school, ways that you were able to improve, and just fighting your way back in the school. But that was so useless because I tried multiple times to stay in that school and I literally had no success. Like, I was literally told no, no, no. But I'm not going to discuss further in that, because then that would kind of be more of like a legal matter. However, I will say that I did speak to some of the professors that were on that committee. I tried to explain to them like why they had voted no, because it was the professors in that promotions committee that voted for the student to stay in the school, and if the votes were outnumbered, that would be the winning vote, whether they stayed in or stayed out. I spoke to the professors individually asking why I was voted to go out of that school. He could not give me a legitimate answer other than pointing to the student handbook, and I just found that ridiculous. And at the end of the day, they told me all the extracurricular stuff that I had done within the school did not matter. Like, they just did not care about that. They only had cared about the grade. I did not pass that 1 class, and that was basically it. So being well-rounded and such, like, just did not matter in my case at that school. And to me, that was just very heartbreaking, because they always tell you to be be involved, to be well-rounded, to do so many different things, to branch out and such, try new things. That just didn't help me in this case, and they literally said like they just don't care about that stuff. They only care about that one grade that I did not pass. And one of the main questions I know all you guys are asking is, why did you not just get a lawyer and fight? Like I said previously, my parents are not rich. My parents didn't have a lot of money, especially when we took out loans for school and we weren't able to pay out of pocket for my tuition. So paying for a lawyer and just fighting this case was just nearly impossible, because when you don't have the finances to back you up to get like a really good lawyer in this case, and without the proper support to actually fight your case in a really good manner, and the school having enough finances and incredible lawyers and so forth, it was just a lose-lose case. Like I wouldn't have won this case if I had taken it to court and such. So I just had to make a decision to accept it and just try to figure out what to do after that. So after that entire whole appeal process, I decided to leave mid-October. So my parents came for about 4 days to help me move out and take all my suitcases back to Canada, because it was just a lot for me to empty all my stuff and move back out, because literally some of my entire life was in that apartment because I was living there for like an entire year. And after I came back, I had started working back at Sephora, as you guys probably have seen on my Instagram and TikTok as well. And I had started to originally work back at Sephora because I was so much in debt, literally $150,000 sitting there in loans that I had to try to repay back. I technically work part-time for Nude Sticks, but I work in the Sephora stores as well as a brand representative for Nude Sticks. So I was just doing that, and right now I'm just currently making videos and just studying and reviewing some of the material as well. So that's basically all I could have done when I had come back from the island back to Canada. So during that time off, where I had gotten the final official notice that I was officially kicked out of MUA, and before I had came back to Canada, in between that space of September and beginning of October, I decided like, you know what, I could be sad, depressed, and crying, or I can get my life together and just start applying to other schools. So I began to fill out applications to apply to other med schools. I told myself at this time to let me try and apply to other med schools and see if I was able to get in. If I was able to get in one more time, I would definitely continue and finish my medical school journey. But if I did not get into another medical school, I would say like this was probably the end of the road for me, and then I would have to try to figure out something else to do with my life career-wise. At the end of the day, like I had spent so much time and money like at medical school, studying, reviewing, practicing, just trying to become the best doctor that I can be. I was literally not gonna give up. So after 3 to 4 weeks of filling my applications, having my transcripts and stuff and all the documents sent over, I had finally got accepted into another medical school. Like thank God I had gotten accepted into another school, so that meant I was able to finish my medical school journey. I was so thankful and happy. Like I was truly beyond blessed that I was able to get the second chance to finish my medical school education, because technically I had already learned a lot of the information that I need to be a good doctor. I understood the material and stuff, but I had just had one mistake, just one failure in my life that had costed me everything. So I was just so thankful for the second chance and opportunity that I was able to get to complete my medical school education. However, I will not say what school I will be attending at the moment. You guys will definitely see what school I will be attending next year when I definitely start my semester and start filming my medical school journey at that school, but for right now I won't say. But all I will say in this video is that it is a really great school, and I'm just super excited to start. So overall, the entire point of this video was just to explain my situation about my entire dismissal situation, what had happened, and why I had gotten dismissed. This video was not made to slander or criticize the school in any way whatsoever, but it just explained to you what had happened to me in my own words and my own perspective. Just because I had gotten so many questions from you guys asking if I had graduated, if I went off to clinical rotations, if I started my residency, was I still in medical school anymore? And some of you guys were asking when I was going to film my next medical school vlog, because you guys really love to see those. So I couldn't really tell you guys exactly what had happened. So I definitely wanted to film this video just to explain everything in one entire video about what had happened and my situation. And to those of you that definitely want to pursue an international medical school option, all I would strongly suggest to you guys is to really read that student handbook. Really know that student handbook in and out. Read what is required by the school. Read the consequences of what can happen when you attend that school as well, because at the end of the day, because you definitely want to be informed of the proceedings and the protocols of any international school that you definitely go to, because again, it is a lot of time, it is a lot of money, and it is a lot of energy that you're going to be spending at these schools. And I would also strongly suggest that you speak to other students who attended MUA or any other medical school, so you're able to gain their perspective on their experience at the school. I can strongly stress that student experiences definitely do matter as well, because you definitely want to have a good experience at the school while you are educating and training yourself to be the best doctor that you can be. And also, a lot of students had different experiences at these schools as well, so it also gives you a lot of perspective to know about what each student experiences was like. So that's basically all I got to say on that matter. So I definitely look back at this experience as a lesson, and everything that happens definitely happens for a reason. And aside from all the great contributions I did make to the school and my great grade record, this happened to me for a reason, and I can't change the fact that it actually happened to me. At the end of the day, I just need to accept what had happened to me, understand and acknowledge that it had happened, move forward, and make the change that I need in my life in order to succeed from this. And if I just keep looking back on this experience and taking it in a negative way, I'm never actually going to move forward and succeed in my life. At the end of the day, what had happened is definitely very horrendous, and it is very heartbreaking to me. To this day, I still can't believe that it actually did happen, but all I can do is definitely just move forward from it, just take it in a positive way and take it as a learning experience. And all I can do is learn from my mistakes in this situation and just take those mistakes that I made on my new journey, learn from them, and just succeed from there. So I really hope you guys did find this video really helpful and informative, and now you guys are able to understand the situation I was in and what had happened to me on the island and why I definitely had come back early mid-semester and just started working part-time again. I really hope this video did clear up a lot of questions and concerns that you guys definitely did have. And I definitely just want to say that being a doctor isn't easy, and it definitely does take a lot of hard work and dedication and to have good focus and motivation in order to pursue being a doctor. And at the end of the day, everyone makes errors. They all make mistakes. Like, everyone encounters failure once in their life. But in my opinion, it is better to make those mistakes now while we are in medical school rather than take those mistakes with us in practice while we are practicing to be a doctor. So that way we can make our mistakes now, fail now, and learn from them and find ways to improve and succeed in our future, so that way we are able to do a much better job and have much success. And being in school, learning is definitely a learning curve, and no one is perfect at the end of the day. Every individual is put in different situations that definitely puts them to the test, and all we can do is take those as opportunities to learn, grow, and succeed from them. And also, I just want to add, everyone is going to have different opinions about this situation, and they're going to have different opinions about people becoming a doctor, people failing, just having opinions in general that just really aren't necessary. And I just want to say that the opinions that other people have about your life and your success do not matter. Like, they have no place in your life whatsoever to have an opinion on the career that you pursue, how successful you see yourself being, and your failures and everything that's happened to you in your life. They have zero opinions whatsoever about your life. The only opinion that matters is you, because you are the person that is going to drive your life through success. You are the only person who's going to go through all these failures and hardships in your own life situations, and you're the only one who's able to take the stands, come up from them, take them as a learning opportunity, and grow from there. Because you're the only person that is driving your life, and you're the only one who knows how to succeed. So at the end of the day, you're always going to believe in yourself, and you're going to know that you're going to conquer any obstacle that life may throw at you. With all of that being said, I'm going to close off this video. I hope this video was helpful to any of you guys in some way, whether you were following medical school journey, you are a prospective international medical school student, or you're just interested to find out how this all happened and ways that this could have been prevented, or just understanding my situation in general. I just hope you take this information with what you will and use it as a positive learning experience. I just want to thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below, turn on your post notifications, give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.